All the intel assessments, all of us, got that wrong. There's no question about it. That was a swing and a miss on the intel assessment of 11 days in August. There's nobody that called that.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Milley had a pair of contentious Capitol Hill hearings recently on the topic of Afghanistan and the mistakes that happened in the military withdrawal from that country.
Secretary Austin, I think you should resign. I think this mission was a catastrophe. I think there's no other way to say it, and there has to be accountability. I respectfully submit it should begin with you.
Now, administration officials have emphasized that about 130,000 individuals were evacuated in just a couple of weeks in August. But a lot of members of Congress still have questions about how things went so wrong, why there was so much chaos and confusion that happened there. And Secretary Austin admitted he still doesn't have answers to a lot of those questions.
The fact that the Afghan army that we and our partners trained simply melted away, in many cases without firing a shot, took us all by surprise, and it would be dishonest to claim otherwise. We need to consider some uncomfortable truths. That we didn't anticipate the snowball effect caused by the deals that the Taliban commanders struck with local leaders in the wake of the Doha Agreement. And that the Doha Agreement itself had a demoralizing effect on Afghan soldiers. And finally, that we failed to grasp that there was only so much for which and for whom many of the Afghan forces would fight.
Most Republican lawmakers' questions at the hearings focused in on whether or not President Biden ignored military advice not to withdraw all troops from Afghanistan. General Milley did say that he had recommended keeping about 2,500 troops in the country to support the military and the Democratic government there, but he pushed back against the idea that Biden had ignored or completely overshadowed the advice that military commanders gave.
If I may, Senator, I can tell you with 100% certainty that the military voice was heard and it was considered.
It was considered but not followed, correct?
We have presidents are elected for reasons. They make strategic decisions.
I would say this committee, General, has always stressed that commanders on the ground should be listened to. Would you agree with that?
I would, and I would tell you they were listened to.
Numerous Republican lawmakers have questioned the decision to abandon Bagram Air Base ahead of the full military withdrawal from Afghanistan. But Defense Secretary Austin defended that decision in his appearance on Capitol Hill, saying he doesn't see that as a strategic mistake.
Retaining Bagram would have required putting as many as 5,000 U.S. troops in harm's way just to operate and defend it. And it would have contributed little to the mission that we've been assigned, and that was to protect and defend the embassy, which was some 30 miles away. That distance from Kabul also rendered Bagram of little value in the evacuation. Staying at Bagram, even for counterterrorism purposes, meant staying at war in Afghanistan.
General Milley also faced tough questioning from lawmakers about interactions he had with reporters in the final days of the Trump presidency. At least a couple of books that have come out recently have accused Milley of having conversations with senior Chinese military officials to assure them that Trump's behavior wouldn't result in a military attack. That's upset a bunch of lawmakers. At least 30 Republican lawmakers have said they think Milley should resign over this. But Milley told lawmakers at the hearings that this was just part of his normal duties, part of the routine communications he has with other countries, and not an act of insubordination.
With respect to the Chinese calls, I routinely communicated with my counterpart, General Lee, with the knowledge and coordination of civilian oversight. I am specifically directed to communicate with the Chinese by Department of Defense guidance, the policy dialogue system. These military-to-military communications at the highest level are critical to the security of the United States in order to deconflict military actions, manage crisis, and prevent war between great powers that are armed with the world's most deadliest weapons. At no time was I attempting to change or influence the process, usurp authority, or insert myself in the chain of command.
These hearings are unlikely to be the last word in Afghanistan in Congress. Several committees have promised to look at not just the mistakes of the last few months, but the issues of the last 20 years and what the military can learn from that. From Capitol Hill, I'm Leo Shane.